Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 149 of Dissonant Waves. My name is Dominic, and that one punching the air seems
Hello.
to be Trix or Ritz. I can't really tell, but they're both here.
It's
Probably
Trix
me.
because I can hear it. Punching
There we
the
go.
air. Trix has still not won that battle.
That was my mic flailing around in the wind.
So I was pretty accurate then.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Mike, we're covering Mike Oldfield.
Indeed, recovering Mike
His
Oldfield.
tubular balls.
May They Rust in Peace, which is another album we're covering by Megadeth.
Yes.
That's Trix's picks. Ritz picked a bunch of EPs. The new Teenage Dad's EP, Midnight Driving. The new Peach PRC EP, Manic Dream Pixie. The new OK Hotel EP, Come and Find Me, and the old Heartaches EP, I Freak Out. Meanwhile, I took a look at the different shades of queerness currently in music, pop, underground, everywhere. We're looking at various singles by You're Pretty and Dixon Dallas. We're looking at the new album Javelin by Sufjan Stevens, along with the Love Yourself My Whole Heart single, Little Thing, and then the Mystery of Love single from Call Me By Your Name. And of course, the We Will Look Back at You and Love You Forever 2022 compilation of stuff they released in 2022, plus the KK Fever Dream split they were a part of, and a single of their own, the title of which currently escapes me.
The If Only I Could Have Left when you did demo.
Yes, the Riley version.
Oh, rally version. I thought it was a demo, but it's a rally version.
Indeed. So there's a lot. As usual lately, there's a lot.
Yeah, we usually just kind of keep pushing ourselves to do as much as possible until eventually one of us breaks and says, "Okay, let's not do much." But that's not this week. This week is probably just the week before we break, to be honest.
Well, next week will theoretically be a pretty light week because it has a theme.
I know somehow we're gonna pick the longest that we can out of that.
Jesus Christ, I hope not. um, that said, what do we want to cover first? Any ideas? Any pitches?
Honestly, this will probably be like either a take that's not that hot or a hot take. I feel like it's gonna be more the first one, but I'd rather do probably the least interesting out of all this, and that will be the Megadeth album.
Yeah, rest in peace.
One of the greatest thrash metal albums of all time.
I liked Megadeth growing up as a kid. I was an angsty kid who was like, yeah, metal. Everyone's listening to pop trash, and now I was the one who picked a pop record in this week. Compared to Megadeth, but I don't even think this sucks or anything like that. I just think it doesn't come close to interesting me as much as it did when I was a kid.
That's fair, but genuinely, this is one of the greatest thrash metal albums. It's up there with the first three Metallica albums in my book.
So, I've never really listened to Megadeth, and coming into this, I was like, it's good, it's alright, I like it. And then I read more into fucking
Dave Mustaine?
Dave Mustaine.
Mustaine.
And his weird evolution over the years. And just knowing that this band started as a, like, well, Metallica kicked me out. Now I'm going to do a band that's better than they are. There's a part of that that's interesting, but a part of that where, you know, I can really hear him trying on this album. It really sounds like he's trying.
Yeah.
And, like, I just don't know if Dave Mustaine's voice is, like, super great for thrash like this.
Well, Dave Mustaine is thrash.
He is thrash, you're saying? Like, he is the guy?
Yes. He is the guy. Everyone in the metal scene will tell you that it is Dave Mustaine. He is the guy.
His playing is great. I think the instrumentation on this album is pretty great. There's some nice riffs. Holy Wars, of course. Tornado of Souls. Those are some of the really liked ones. But, like, vocally,
yeah, it's got their this is their best. I forget the name of the lead guitarist they have, but you have the Daves on rhythm. So
you have Dave and David is guitar and bass. Marty Friedman's the other guitar guy.
Friedman, yes, he's fucking
phenomenal. Yes. But like, if I could describe what I feel like Dave Mustaine's voice like sounds to me, it sounds like what every Sonic game wants to achieve with their voice actor for Sonic. It sounds like
I can see that.
it
That's-
sounds like
That's actually fucking probably the best insult you've ever done on this podcast, there, Dominic.
it also sounds like someone doing like Hetfield, but it's more like Brian Johnson on a really really bad day.
Oof.
Like there's almost it's like fucking just do Hell's Bells, man. I feel like your voice would be better for that. But that's me.
I don't know. It kind of works.
But that's just how I kind of felt like, man, it's really this guy wanted to overcome Metallica, and he sure did. He really did.
Stop attacking my headphones, Monty.
Monty is the true thrash.
But
Yeah,
yes,
he's a he. I watched him fall off of my kitchen cabinets yesterday.
Now that's punk.
Was he thrashing on the way down?
He was thrashing on his way up there, and that's why he fell.
Oh, well,
Because he's a little bit of a spaz.
he'll learn to climb one day.
Oh,
No,
he knows
I
how to
can
climb.
really-
It's just that he likes to be a spaz.
I can really put my my childhood self into this album. Unsurprisingly, the reason I discovered Megadeth was playing Guitar Hero
Yes,
and Hangar 18 and Holy Wars, both being Guitar Hero songs. In fact, I'm pretty sure Megadeth not only wrote a song for Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock, which was Sudden Death, but they also, I think they might have actually re-recorded Holy Wars for the game as well. And it was one other song that was in that track list that I'm trying to remember. Like they've had a couple songs in Guitar Hero. They had Sweating Bullets as well, and there was one other. I swear there's like two other ones because it wasn't just Hangar 18. Peace Cells was not in there.
Peace sells, but who's buying?
it says Holy Wars, Hangar 18, Tornado Souls were all in Rocksmith 2014.
They
Symphony
were.
of Destruction was in the first Guitar Hero.
This is a band that's been everywhere. Guitar Hero 2, Guitar Hero 5, Warriors of Rock, Rock Revolution, Rocksmith. They have no allegiance to any brand.
Oh, Mustaine's a whore.
Of course.
Oh, good man. I'm sure he would love being called that as well. He's definitely
Yeah,
got no,
I mean he
no
is a
views in
Republican.
which- he's got
Yeah.
no views in which he might be offended by that.
Yeah, MTV hired him to fucking
Fucking
cover the
snowflake.
DNC of 1992.
Well, he used to be a liberal.
And he was there when Bill Clinton got nominated to become the president.
Yeah, but he had a evangelical movement, I believe.
He had a whole reawakening.
Born again.
And, yeah, and then was just like, yeah, I'm gonna believe a bunch of shit like Obama birthing truth or shit.
Yeah,
And I just like, and even then, like, reading through some of the stuff, he's always been homophobic. It seems like he's always been kind of like not really punk in that way.
well that was the thrash scene. As sad as it sounds, Metallica used to be homophobic.
I mean, sure, but I guess with this guy, to me, it just
I mean,
it seems like
there
a
will
trap.
always be bands as well. There will always be bands in which, I mean, there's a difference obviously between lyrics being homophobic and the actual artist being homophobic as well.
Yeah.
I think like
Yeah.
back in the day as well, it was a lot easier to be not to excuse any of this because it's like a time that we can all just happily say, yeah, fuck off and die.
Yeah,
And yeah, I still don't think there's any defense for the artist just being directly. But you could just look back into a lot of songs back from like even early noughties, and you would just hear lyrics like it kind of just go, okay, yeah, that's probably not so comfortable these days. I mean,
No.
sometimes they are a little funny still, but like the Hilltop Hoods can't get these assholes open in a gay bar is always one that will stick out as, yeah, they probably wouldn't ever write that line again, but in the context it is kind of a laugh.
yeah.
But with a lot of that, there's usually some kind of growth or like at least acknowledgement, like, hey, that was us back then. We're not necessarily like that now. Whereas this is more of just a through line of this guy just getting worse and worse from our perspective.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, he's not the only evangelical Christian in the thrash metal scene, weirdly. Tom Araya, the bass player for Slayer, he's a devout.
Right. He's not even the only guy you picked this week that has undergone a radical change like that.
He's not.
But like, going to Mike
Oof.
Oldfield for a second. Mike Oldfield has definitely gotten a little batty with his views, but like, Tubular Bells is fucking amazing.
And he recorded it when he was 19.
And there's something about that just makes me feel different about him versus Dave Mustaine.
That's fair. But like, think of all of the great shit we wouldn't have without Dave Mustaine. Like, we definitely would not have like King Gizzard's Infest the Rats.
Sure, yeah. I don't know.
So I've now just going to do a bit of correction. So it wasn't re-recorded, I believe. At least I can't see any proof that Holy Wars was re-recorded. The other song that was in it was This Day We Fight from their 2009 album, which I don't think much people remember. I don't think people really need to remember.
Sure. Do you guys remember why I picked this album?
Because we made it a 1990 album.
No.
It was because it was Christmas
Not
album
entirely.
for you.
Yes. This is the album my father used to put on when dressed the Christmas.
Is there a reason why?
Didn't your father also put on fucking Captain Beefheart to clear out customers?
Yeah, when he worked at a record store.
Yeah.
But the reason he hated Christmas music.
Okay, fair. As do you. So.
Yeah.
I was also reading about some of the shit that Dave Mustaine has done, and I thought some of it was very funny too. Like, hearing about the troubles in Ireland, he like made some like dedication of holy wars to the cause, and I think he was talked out of like suing people over selling shirts because they're going to the cause. And it's like that's just so funny that like this guy just hears about what's happening and he's like, oh yeah, that sounds great, here we go, with like no real context as to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
See, I still think the funniest thing, just looking on the context here and knowing about it, is you have it basically in the same paragraph nearly, or like it's not technically the same paragraph, but it's basically a paragraph away. On his Wikipedia page, it goes, "I don't support gay marriage since I'm not gay," and 2, I practiced black magic in my teenage years.
Yeah.
Which is
I've practiced black magic in my teenage years, and I'm.
So apparently you either become massively homophobic or trans.
Yeah.
No in between.
No in between.
The scary thing is that Trish could still decide to repent for the black magic.
Mm-hmm.
Your life
Yeah, I
is
feel
yet
like
young.
Trix is past that.
You have 70 years, give or take, left to figure that out.
I do.
But you know, I like some other songs. I think like some of the deeper cuts are cool. Like Poison Was the Cure and Lucretia. I think those are fun.
Yeah. Those are bangers.
I'm not as big as into Hangar 18. I didn't really find much there that really hooked me like some of the other ones did, but it's fine for what it is. I know it's a popular one.
I'm starting to realize the reason I liked it as a kid was because guitar solos were a thing that I thought were cool.
Yeah, everyone
Guitar
kinda goes
solos are
through
still
that.
fucking cool.
I didn't say they're not cool, but I'm like that's the only reason that I like that song. Is probably still the only reason I like it. I mean, it's a good guitar solo. Like the actual
And
song
I mean,
itself-
Marty Friedman is a god.
I like good guitar solos, but I'm not gonna like a song just because it has a guitar solo.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I'm getting
fair.
at now.
There was a medical paper published not too long ago. This is a bit of an aside, but it was titled like "Male Seeking Male Behavior Noticed in Metal Groups,"
Okay.
and how like fans of metal are more likely to be gay, as weird as that sounds, and like try and like get attention from other men.
Interesting. I wonder why. Is it? I mean, metal and like glam and all that was so homoerotic at the time. I guess maybe it's not that surprising.
Yeah, it's the whole bodybuilder effect. Like there's a joke that among people who lift weights that when you lift weights, you think you're gonna get compliments from so many women, but you just get compliments from so many dudes. It's the same case with learning how to play a killer guitar solo. You think that like all the women are gonna like you, but no, it's all the 40-year-old men are like, yeah, that kicks ass.
There was it actually reminds me of like an old I think it was on Machinima, and it was Saturday Not Included, where they did I think it was like the animated episode of it was they started a band to get women, but when they were doing all this metal metal and stuff, and they were they're doing the heavier side. I think they were doing that one because when they were doing the actual women music that was attracting women, and they were seen as gay. So then they decided to go for the heavier style because they didn't want to be seen as gay, and then they had no more woman fans.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see what David Lee Roth was like in his prime, it makes sense.
What's the joke?
He was very pretty.
That's a joke.
I had a joke about a David Lee Roth IRA, but I forget the.
Can't help you there. I can't think of one.
Yeah, it was one of his solo songs. I'm forgetting it.
Anyway, I'm about done talking with this album.
I love Megadeth.
I know if I was around in this time, I would have been Metallica fanboy. I just hear it.
There's I have very complicated about the. We've only covered 2 bands. Have we even covered Metallica?
No, I don't think we have.
We covered Saint Anger, technically.
Technically, yeah, we did cover. So we've covered only half of the big 4. The big 4 in thrash are Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and
Anthrax.
yes,
Yeah.
their guitarist is a cool dude. He has the most ridiculous beard. But, dude can play rhythm guitar.
We've covered one of the worst Metallica albums. We've covered what's one of the best Megadeth albums. What do we go for next? A mid Slayer album?
Maybe.
There's so many to choose from.
Anthrax is the band I know the least amount.
I mean, we'll have to go there next.
Yeah, but Anthrax wins just for the Public Enemy Club.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Favorites probably actually just Holy War's The Punishment Dude. I think it does actually start off like alright, but it's not a favorite as in like I still really like that song. I think this is probably actually the best on here. And then I don't know, least favorite's probably something like Poison Was the Cure or Dawn Patrol.
Biggs, you can go ahead.
This is just a total nostalgia album for me, so I feel like I can't accurately give a favorite or least favorite because I just enjoy the whole thing.
Yeah, but we don't care about accuracy.
And I might just actually exclude this one from my rankings at the end.
That's fair.
If you want.
But a good, really, really good album. It's one of the best thrash metal albums.
I like Holy Wars. I like Lucretia. I like Tornado of Souls. My least favorite is Dawn Patrol. Now, we might as well talk about Tubular Bells since we're in this realm here.
Okay.
Tubular Bells, aka technically the Exorcist theme, but oh wait, did you know it's a 23-minute track? Or a 26-minute track, actually?
Did you know that it's basically a 40-minute track?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, part 2 is the B-side of the album, yes.
Technically, Trix, it's more of a 50-minute track.
Yes. But this is supposed to be one song. It's just split up because of the limitations of vinyl.
Yeah, limitations of vinyl, but also he recorded one part and then recorded the second part like a little bit later. So I mean, there was supposed to be a break of some sort. I mean, I think that's kind of intentional in a way. Like the first.
This reminds me of that other thing you picked. I forgot what it was called. It was the Adam Music. I think it was something like that.
Yeah, you can tell that Wayne Lytle was very inspired by. Like I can definitely hear it. Like Starship Groove, I just heard like the riff from Starship Groove in there.
I was laughing at how much this is basically a doom metal pick.
It is.
And just like when we covered New Order, This is another one of those albums that was commemorated as a stamp in the UK.
Yeah. Soon, maybe we'll end up doing them all.
We'll do all 10 somehow.
How come this one isn't a popular shirt though? I guess that's Joy Division, but still.
I want the bent pipe shirt. Give it to me.
Do you guys know why it's called Tubular Bells?
Because the guy said
No,
Tubular
actually, I didn't
Bells.
set that up.
No, not even that. It's because when he was recording, Mike Oldfield, in order to get the sound he wanted out of the bells, he absolutely beat the fuck out of them with a hammer and broke them.
Okay, that's kind of metal.
It's extremely metal.
Now that's actually punk.
And it's actually also worth noting that this album is responsible for the birth of Virgin Records, the punk label.
Yes. It's kind of amazing how this guy, who was basically super shy and didn't even want to perform it live, was somehow like taken in by these business people who wanted to release his album. And through one way or another, they decided, let's make our own fucking label and do it.
And to think without Tubular Bells, Richard Branson wouldn't have gone to space.
I think without Tubular Bells, we wouldn't have Virgin, we wouldn't have the Exorcist theme. I mean, it's amazing that this is an album that was super popular.
Yes.
This is a very uncommercial, like, super deep cut of an album, I feel like, and somehow it just broke through.
To jump into it's one of the greatest prog rock albums of all time, barring any prog fan will tell you.
I was very surprised to learn how good it is. Because it's like, it's like, the first part of it. How much better can it get?
Yeah. Yeah, and it gets so much better.
And, like, I don't know, there's, like, character to it. The way the guy announces the instruments at the end of the first part is very fun. And then because they include some of the singles or the offcuts on the version that's on streaming. And so you get, like, a little bit of bits and pieces of other stuff, like the last track, the Sailor's Hornpipe with Viv Stanshall, and like the fucking piss take narration he's doing.
Yeah.
It's fun shit.
It is. And again, he was 19 when he wrote and recorded them. And he could play every instrument on the album.
Yeah. I was also very surprised to hear the Sailor's Hornpipe and realize that's totally a Spongebob song.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that it was just a folk, like, traditional song. That's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. A lot of SpongeBob songs are like that, or they're like ragtime songs. 12th Street Rag.
I mean, the funniest thing about that you learn sometimes about SpongeBob is that they're actually using actual songs sometimes. Because you know the first episode where
Tiptoe
there's a song
through the tulips.
No, it's not Tiptoe. It's not
Tiptoe. It's
Living
in the Sunshine.
Living in the Sunshine. Yeah, sorry, I thought it was Dancing. Like that, but yeah.
Living in the sun. It is sunlight. It is sunlight.
Yeah.
Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight. Eh.
You do a Tiny Tim so well.
I do.
Yeah, that's.
I was a ukulele theater kid. Of course, I can fucking do a Tiny Tim.
I don't know if there's probably anything that could be more genderly questionable than you being a trans woman who can do Tiny Tim.
Yeah.
Where do you even put that on the chart?
In a chart where we need to have a cover album at some point.
Yeah, if you ever need a Tiny Tim on a Ritalin for Kids track, let me know.
Oh yeah, he'll make it super lo-fi. He'll take the recording and make it super lo-fi and put something over it.
It's just slow and reverbed. Is it? Fuck, I'm searching it up now. Surely there's a Tiny Tim slow and reverb.
There's gotta be.
Yeah, Living in the Sunlight. Slow and reverb. I gotta fucking hear this shit.
I just so that the audience knows, I have the remainder of a bottle of wine I purchased earlier this week, and I'm probably going to drink about 2/3 a bottle of wine tonight.
Yes, I got drunk earlier and now sobered up pretty much.
I am drinking a local sweet pineapple.
I was drinking vodka.
So, to the answer of what a slow and reverb Tiny Tim sounds like, it sounds like basically everything when you do it slow and reverb. Like shit.
Just in your own tracks there.
Does it say how slow it was?
I don't know how much they've slowed it down by, but it's definitely quite noticeable. So I'd probably say probably 1.5 times.
Because I mean, as we found out when we did the Green Day stuff, there is a speed you can speed up the later modern day Green Day to sound better. How much do you have to manipulate Tiny Tim to sound fine while being slow and reverbed is now the question.
Zero, because Tiny Tim's actual regular music is actually interesting as it is.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I quite like Tim.
Yeah, there's definitely some weird outsider to it, obviously, as it always is, but it is still genuinely interesting and well performed music.
Yeah, and I want to say he didn't even write "Living in the Sunshine" or "Sunlight."
No. Most of his popular songs are covers. So yeah. I know "Tiptoe Through the Tulips" is 100% a cover.
Oh yeah, it's popular on TikTok even now, and it has all the different versions it usually stitches to.
Mm-hmm.
It would actually be slowed down 1.25x. Is just doing the math on the time.
Interesting. But again, this is an album that I was shocked holds up as well as it does. Nothing about this should work as well as it does. Nothing about this at all should work. It's
such a good album. Mike Oldfield has released it 7.
Yeah, it just had a re-release this year.
An album so nice, they did it twice, 6 more times.
It is apparently charted every decade ever since it's been released.
Not a surprise.
Except for this one currently.
Yeah, that's probably how. Well, you'd feel like it'd probably chart again due to the Exorcist and that being a failure. People might go back to the original Exorcist.
That Exorcist was shit.
It hasn't done it yet, though. So that's the thing. When will it do it?
Yeah, you would have thought. It's like the Halloween song to put on, I guess, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And then there is the live performance that the Wikipedia page talks about that has a bunch of people that helped him out. And
yes, and I think I forget. Do they record the whole 45 track or just the first part?
I think I don't know. It doesn't really say. I assume it's probably the first part at least.
Because there's footage of it online.
Okay. But Mick Taylor was there. His brother Terry, Mike's brother Terry was there. But Terry Oldfield is another composer type.
Yep.
Steve Winwood was supposed to be there. Apparently, fucking Mike Oldfield had to be given George Harrison's car to make it work because he did not.
Yeah,
want to do this.
It was a Rolls Royce. He did not want to do it because he was so afraid of messing up, and Branson offered him a Rolls Royce.
And then also got Mick Jagger to talk to him and get him out there.
Yeah,
that's fucking wild.
It is.
This kid is 19, 20. And here's fucking Mick Jagger being like, yeah, dude, your shit's great. Now go out there.
Yeah.
Good album.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
The actual recent album I've listened to as well that this reminds me of, and I've listened to that one first before I actually listened to this, so sorry for the sacrilege, is Matt Berry's Music for Insomniacs. Which that one
You've mentioned that before.
Yeah. But that is in a very similar vein where there's it doesn't even feel like it's multiple parts. It feels like it's constantly just experimenting throughout the whole period of it, out of both parts, and you're not really getting you're getting a sound collage is the best way of explaining it. Now this definitely flows a lot more.
Oh yeah, this flows incredibly.
But calling it but calling it a sound collage as well doesn't feel too out of place.
Funny thing
is, doesn't.
Oldfield did it several more times. His next album, Hergest Ridge, was also a #1 album. Was also a giant long song split into 2 parts. He's one of the few artists that has had replaced himself on the top charts with his own work.
He is incredible.
And he's off in the Bahamas now, I believe, because he thinks the UK is a nanny state. So what can you do?
Yeah. What can you do?
What we can do is we can move on to the next album.
Well, favorites and
It's
least
kind of hard to do favorites. Yeah, well, okay, well, Tubular Bells, done.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, sure. Alrighty.
You choose, Dominic.
Yeah, let's talk about the kind of the oddball of your choices here. Let's talk about Peach PRC.
Yeah, it definitely is the oddball of this one. So this one has been high on my playlist throughout this year, whether I like it or not. To a certain girl that lives with me who would not stop playing this EP for around a solid month every time in the car. I play it, but with that being said, and jokes aside on here, Peach PRC, the Manic Dream Pixie, the debut EP from TikTok star / musician, which feels weird to say in a sense in which they're both kind of the same thing in this case, but it is a big reason due to for her success. She is a very popular TikTok user in Australia.
Yeah.
And kind of the main reason why I picked this is kind of just exploring, like, there was a little bit of a scene, and it's not just in Australia, but in a lot of, like, I'll consider it the internet scene again, I guess. But you'll notice there's a lot of artists who start getting, like, popular on social media and then starting to put out the singles after that success has come out. And it's not always been a new thing. And as I'm saying this, literally the fan walks through the door. Hi, Sudi. I'm recording at the moment, but it's about Peach PRC. I said I'm recording at the moment, but it's about Peach PRC. No, it is about. So you can feel free to say something if you want.
Anything?
No, she's in the other room at the moment, but she might. Anyway.
Yeah, this is something different.
That's the intro.
Yeah, and
it's probably the poppiest thing I've ever picked.
It's like picking a Janelle Monáe or Lady Gaga or any of the other kind of like super high pop people. It's different in that she's like a TikTok star who's starting to break out in this way, but like her album, her EP was #1 on the ARIA charts. So, like, so she has a place right now.
Yeah, well, she broke out with her debut single because she already had popularity beforehand. Is the crazy part.
Right.
Chicks is either eating the microphone or Monty is.
I'm walking. Sorry.
You're good. I mean, and like, I don't know, these songs were fine. I thought some of them were interesting. I think Dear Inner Child's a nice little wrap up for the thing. And Loved You Before was kind of cute. I don't know. And it was all kind of fine.
Is an interesting thing in the songwriting in which, Chicks, I'm going to have to ask you to mute while that dog is barking.
Yeah, I'm going to. Sorry.
And specifically just kind of in the lyric writing in this. It is quite simple, but I think it's too simple. Like, I think there are defo songs and there are defo moments in there where if you learn the context, which is usually spread on the post and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, this is what this song is about, this is what this song is about. I don't know how exactly, like, thorough she goes in, because I don't use TikTok, but I know there's a lot of artists that, you know, they put out the little snippets and stuff as a pre-advertising, pre-save, and then talk about it. And when you kind of listen to some of these songs out of context, you kind of just wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
A lot of the lyrics are a little... And I still like this EP. Like, I'll put that out there. I think I have more positives about it than I do negatives. It doesn't mean I love it, but love and like are, you know, two different things. But it's also like, if you just didn't know these contexts, you'd go like, okay, well, this is if with Fuck You Goodbye.
Sure.
Without knowing the context, that feels like an absolute nothing breakup song.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I don't think it's ever been explicitly said. So if I'm just like putting out some bullshit claims out there that don't turn out to be true, I'd honestly be surprised. But it's 100% Williamson.
Yeah.
Which is, if you two haven't caught up on that, that's the news article I posted out. She was one of the people to originally come out about Shooter Williams and his abuse, and he was a pretty popular YouTube comedian in Australia.
God.
And then you know that, and then some of the lyrics go a little like, okay, I get it. It still doesn't like go like holy shit moments or anything like that when you learn this context, but like you at least kind of understand where the personal aspect comes into it.
Sure. I mean, you can see why she wrote it at least.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So now that the partner is here, you can say exactly why you like Peach PRC's lyrics. How many
I don't understand.
times have you gone to a Peach PRC song that's about a toxic person and gone, oh yeah?
Okay, yes. I can relate.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ash.
Yes. I don't know. I don't have a ton to say really because it's like this is like another TikToker we've done. It's gone over better than when we did Talk. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, well the thing that definitely saves her compared to Talk, even at her worst, is that she's not putting out a pretentious cover of How to Save a Life.
Yeah.
No, she knows her audience. I always do the joke about how even though I'm a bisexual male, I was the straightest person at the Peach PRC concert. But no,
I
ended
felt
it.
that way at fucking Glass Beach show.
Really?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm like, I do not feel queer enough to be here.
I thought you were perfectly fine.
I know I was at internalized anxiety,
That's fair. I thought it was all a pretty inclusive show, all things considered. But yeah.
Oh, it was very inclusive.
But as I was saying, Peach PRC knows her audience. She ended the show with a Hillary Duff cover.
Excellent.
Fuck yes.
Excellent. Why is that not on the EP?
I don't know. I can only just tell you, just like the Peach PRC, I've learned too much Hillary Duff songs from being in that same car.
There's no such thing as too much Hillary Duff.
I was gonna say that. God damn it!
I beg to differ. This is my personal opinions, but I beg to differ.
Well, that's license for us to do.
I will
Tricks.
say as well, though.
Yeah.
The one thing that does save this EP, in my personal opinion, just out of and there's not much to say. I don't think there's anything bad about it. It's just what is to highlight. I don't think when it comes to this bubblegum pop kind of production that happens into here, it surprisingly doesn't feel too focus groupy. Like it feels like somehow it's like legit, authentic production that is like really, really pretty clean. And I'm not going to tell you like it's the rawest sound you ever hear, but it's something about it that it doesn't feel like it was completely made in a focus group, but it also feels like they know how to make a good hook instrumentally.
I mean, she had songwriters, she had producers, she had the people that could make it, sound good. It's just about having that material there to actually, back it up. When you have Konstantin Kersting on your album, you're probably going to get something good. Well, even then, he produced Tones and I, Jungle Giants, Spacey Jane, and Mallrat. So there's a wide variety of
of quality there, yeah.
Yeah.
Very bad to very good.
I mean, it's one of those things. He did Quiet Ferocity, and then he did
fantastic album.
But then he did Dance Monkey.
Questionable quality.
We all have our Jungle Giants. We all have our
To be fair though, when it comes to Dance Monkey, does everybody hate that song because of the production, or did they go for something else to criticize?
I can't stand her voice in Dance Monkey.
Exactly.
I just don't think it's a billion streams worth of good song.
I don't either. That's an entirely different a different point though. It's like, is it the production that's made that song bad, or is it the vocals? And everybody goes, it's the vocals. So like saying like, oh, they produced Dance Monkey. It's like, well, how good can you produce vocals? Or are we going to go to another Farrah Abraham example?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that producer ended up kind of accidentally doing something with that.
Yeah, but I feel like if you do it again, it's not going to be, oh shit, this is the crown of hyperpop. It's going to be, oh, someone's just tried to do My Teenage Dream Ended, and,
Sure,
and it's not worked.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And this is definitely not a. I mean, it's a clean EP. It's an EP. It's usually surprised to see like these types of these artists, especially when you get a bit more electronic, even put out a full length in any shape or form.
It's rare that they put out EPs even. They usually just do singles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
none of
album
her
is
previous
dead.
singles were on it, so.
What was that, Trix?
The album is dead.
Until someone else puts out another one. Oh look, Dan Macy just put out an album. Album's
Hell
not
yeah.
too dead, is it?
Well, we need someone in the mainstream to put out a good album and not just a good collection of songs.
What, Hackney Diamonds wasn't good enough for you?
Oh, it was good. It's just I'm saying we need like Taylor Swift to drop it.
She does like 2 albums a year.
Yeah, and one of them needs to be a concept album.
What was Midnight's if not a concept?
Okay, no, the PR for Midnight's was a concept.
Yes.
Fair enough.
You cannot tell me, I will still die on this fucking hill, that Midnight's was actually a concept album, because none of those songs sounded anything like what she fucking described. Except maybe you could go for fucking some of the lyrics as being as, what the fuck are you on about? But even then,
like,
some of them aren't, oh, this was written, some of these weren't like, oh, that was written at 3 a.m. No, some of them were just, what the fuck are you on about?
Lavender Haze
The
fits
sexy
vibe.
little baby.
Lavender Haze fit the vibe, nothing
Great,
else did.
Yeah, you got one song out of a whole album. Yeah, that's a concept.
That does not make a concept album, friend.
Well, naming an album Tubular Bells doesn't make a concept album either.
Anyway, since we've finished talking about this, favorites, least favorites. One of you has to start. It ain't me starting.
Fuck. Let me pull up the track listing. Domino, go first because this is gonna take me a minute.
I don't really have a ton to say on this front. I like Dear Inner Child, fine. A Few Goodbyes, okay. I think my least favorite is probably gonna be, I don't know, Kind of Famous, if I had to pick one.
Honestly, I think Kind of Famous is probably my favorite of it, but I just more like the production on that track, I guess. I like the somewhat distorted, like, big pop sound that happens in it. I think lyrically it's not really doing too much that hasn't been done before. I think if you search it up, she literally says that like she stole the concept, and I say stole in quotation marks because it's obviously inspired from another song. I can't remember exactly what song it was, so excuse me for my ignorance. Least favorites, probably Favorite Person.
I am still trying to load the track listing.
I will say it's probably not a good sign that like she says lyrics of like the song title of every song in the lyrics, and you still can't remember what they're called. That's probably not a good sign.
Because I can't load the fucker because I'm on slow ass data right now. I'm just gonna say Blender.
All right, we'll go with that.
Because if I can't remember song titles, it's
It's definitely. I will just say, like, obviously I know what you call Blender. I'm not fighting you. I wouldn't call it a blender. Surprisingly, I don't think there is like enough differences in sound that happens on this EP.
Yeah, it's just I can't remember any track names.
Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
So
No,
I can't really say.
know.
I can't say shit about shit if I don't know the track.
But Trix, which album or EP next would you like to say shit about?
Actually, I have a good segue if I can choose.
Yeah,
Segue, Domino.
I mean, so we're covering a TikTok pop star who has come out as lesbian recently. Good for her. Let's now cover a TikTok star that has very consciously kept his sexuality in question. To may or may not.
I just want to say, hold on. I'm could be wrong, but I thought Peach PRC was bisexual.
She real recently came out as lesbian.
Did she? Yeah.
Bisexual.
I'm trusting to do more research on here. The Peach PRC fan. But is there a recent post or something where they just said it was just lesbian? Or
That's what I mean. What's
She
the
has come out as lesbian.
oh, okay, well. So she's gone from bisexual to lesbian.
Indeed.
I wonder when I'll get there.
Hell yeah, men are trash.
We try our best. But consciously now to somebody who is keeping the question alive of what he is if he is anything. Jake Hill, aka You're Pretty, aka now Dixon Dallas.
That was the greatest bait and switch you could have done there, Dominic.
Yeah.
So, delving now into my little look at the different levels of queerness that exists. This is an act that is basically popular because, while the songs are explicit.
Extremely explicit. Gave me a case of the vapor.
And we covered You're Pretty before when we did the Now That's What I Call Dominic playlist, but that was right before Dixon Dallas became a being, and now there's so much more to cover in this as this musician continues to evolve, and I don't know how to phrase it. Get away with it again?
Can I say something about Dixon Dallas?
No,
Sure.
I want to just say something first, actually. Dominic, I think the funniest thing is you deciding to pick like all the singles that you could. So he releases another on Friday.
He releases another one?
He released one last Friday.
Oh my god.
Fuck yeah.
He
Sorry,
did.
Trix, as you were saying.
Something to feel.
I actually did listen to that one,
How was that?
but it was pretty good. And that gets into my other point. I hate that I like this so much.
Yeah, Like-
Unsurprisingly, I like You're Pretty more.
that's fair. I mean, the thing here is that like the changeover is pretty effective. It's pretty seamless, I feel like
Yeah.
he has a whole like very visible vibe as Dixon Dallas, so you would not look at it and be like, "Oh yeah, that's the You're Pretty guy."
Yeah.
There's a certain chameleon aspect to that I do respect quite a bit. And
Yeah. And it makes sense that he was good at writing pop. He'll be good at writing pop with a country filter.
sure. I mean, Dixon Dallas has already popped off way more than You're Pretty did numbers, but like
Yeah.
You're Pretty, there was only like 4, 5 songs from that. Dixon Dallas has already beaten that easily. This is, all side projects to his original I Am Jake Hill project, which we have not touched, but he's been doing that for several years, and now that he's just doing all of this on top of it all.
I mean, everybody has a band, at least one band, where they're either are explicitly gay or pretending to be. Like John Dwyer's Zig and Bop Cough.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I did not know that was the vibe of that.
It is, he called it like openly, he called it like gay craft, something like that. I forget exactly.
Gay Kraftwerk, interesting. So, Ritz, I'm sorry, Ritz. This is real country now, bitch.
No. This is probably the best country has been topically.
I had fucking flashbacks to working at Dollar General while listening to this, and I mean that in a derogatorily way.
In what way? Like, can you describe more?
Like, it's such just a visceral hatred reaction, but then the song is actually like decent compared to the shit that I had to put up with when I worked at Dollar General.
I mean, yeah, like, I'm not gonna say that these songs are like amazing or like fucking phenomenal.
They're not, but like they're good country songs, like in pop country.
Like the guy clearly understands how to write a good country song and like what the things you need are.
There is no better country lyrics than "He's bouncing off my booty cheeks. I love the way he rides. I can hardly breathe when he's pumping deep inside."
And like every
Oh, sorry. Wait, hold on. It also follows up with "I kiss him on his neck and then he kisses on my pussy." And every time I hear that word, I just reminded of when Black Midi did a, I think it was Black Midi or something. They did like a live stream or something like that, and people kept using "bussy" in there, and like someone, and one of the band members like, "What is a bussy?"
I have accidentally started adding suffixes to some of the words I say.
A lot of my queer friends do that. But like every great musician, he does compare his date to a car, or to some degree like a car.
It's my track.
Ride him like an F-150 is the lyric here.
Yeah, girl, you're my favorite muffler.
You remind me of my Jeep.
I blew 6 guys in a Subaru Baja. And I think about was you.
So there's another. I have a question from the F-150 lyrics. Actually, he talks about being cracked open like a cold Bud Light. What could that possibly mean? What part of it is getting cracked?
Oh, that's great.
Oh man.
See, like he's getting a lot better at doing these lyrics. Like I felt like with You're Pretty, he was like straight man writing queer lyrics, because it's like a lot of it was very sexually focused and very like basic. Like I think Fill Me Up even still has that, just like I just want to get fucked in the ass. That's pretty much it.
Very men writing women.
To be fair, if you don't want to get railed in a sundress, are you really a man?
Yeah. Fair enough.
But I do feel like the lyrics have improved a little bit here. There is something more going on I'm curious about. Is he finding something in this to appeal to himself? It could just all be a bit, but like, I don't know. He's getting better at it.
The lyrics, I want to suck cock, Dominic. What does he mean by this? Do you ever wonder if gay people struggle dating just because you can't figure out simple fucking signs like that?
Well, no, but like his whole thing is that he has not disclosed his sexuality, and that's like an intentional thing he's doing.
At a certain point, if you're straight and you put out this many songs like that, you surely convince yourself that you're gay.
You're at least a little bi.
Yeah. Like by the 50th time, you're not joking anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, how many queer roles can you play before people start to be like, oh, maybe there's something to that?
Yeah, Gandalf, totally a queer role.
Although, that being said, Finster is probably like on like, what, year 5 of Girl Month?
Yeah.
And he's still a he, so...
And he has an OnlyFans.
The thing we should compare this to at some point is I Am Jake Hill, and just see how different it is. If that's like the straight version of him. And see, like, is it just as explicit and like straightforward, or is there like
what's the straight version of Bussy?
I wonder. I wouldn't know. Yeah, I know. He continues to interest me, and like I just fucking hear this shit on TikTok all the fucking time.
I do too.
I don't.
I was just very surprised to hear that it was the same guy. Like, I thought it was a whole new person.
They sound similar.
Yeah, but the music is different enough that I would not put 2 and 2 together.
I could definitely, not to get put on like I took a music theory class in high school but
Hello.
Structure.
She took a music theory class, didn't take a tech theory class.
Tricks you completely cut out there.
But yeah, I took one music theory class in high school, glasses, and they have very similar like chord structure.
Oh my god, what is happening there?
Music theory.
Assume I'm saying some dope shit about music theory.
Is this a new Hunter Gex song?
Nah, actually, this is the new We Will Look Back at You and Love You Forever album.
Oh shit!
Just assume I'm saying some dope shit.
Honestly, that sounds
music theory.
close enough to the siren shit they do on that.
Anyway, is there anything else to say about Dixon Dallas last year? Pretty.
No, we've
Should I leave
probably
him
got to
to
actually
join?
continue it. No, you're fine now.
Okay.
We do have to continue on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we do.
I mean, favorites. I think Good Looking's obviously one that people are gonna go to. I do like F-150 as well. Fill Me Up is probably the weakest of these.
Yeah, I think the highlight is usually like his lyrics on this, and if we got a "You're Pretty" instrumental with a Dixon Dallas lyric, we'd get probably the best out of all of it. I mean, it in a sense, the joke only lasts as long as it does, but
Yeah.
I don't really have a
favorites
favorite
for-
or least favorite.
Favorites for me, honestly, the entire like Two More EP was just phenomenal for me.
Even with the trap
And yeah. And the least favorite is just the line "Kiss me on my bus."
beat. I will say for you, it did sound like you said "Kiss Me on the Bus." Anyway, yeah, all right. Sidebar that. Let's flip the page and talk about Sufjan Stevens.
Honestly, I was hoping you would pick this last because if we're gonna just talk about Javelin for 2 seconds, this is
Wait, if you want to wait, we can wait.
this is that puff. Oh, it's up to you. It's up to you two. Do you want to do it now, or do you want to wait?
I don't have much to say about it.
Well, we'll just do it now because I was already on the crate, and then that one person listening will be like, "What's he gotta say?" This is classic, devastating, and beautiful Sufjan. It's actually just one of the loveliest 40 minutes you will listen to it this year.
Yeah, it's just another damn good Sufjan album.
I wouldn't even just say just another. There is some. I mean, obviously, Sufjan's been unfortunate with some of the happenings in his life for how young he is still.
Yeah. He and Billy Joe Armstrong
But
are
it's-
contemporaries.
That is true.
He's
It's
similar age as my dad.
It is a devastating album.
Yeah. It's different than Carrie and
Yeah.
Lowell, which is, I think, the most interesting thing. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
devastating album he had before is way different than the one he has now.
Yeah.
And that's, that's reflective. Like, Carrie and Lowell was about losing his mother, and this one's about losing his partner. That's going to elicit different emotions, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, it shows that there's different ways of processing grief and sadness and feeling those things.
It does.
Like,
Beautiful.
yeah. And I kind of picked the other stuff to go with it because, the central question I feel like fans have been asking about Sufjan is the whole "is he gay, is he not" thing, and like it kind of sucks when you reduce an artist down to that singular question. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
he has progressively been more and more open about it. Whether that's doing "Mystery of Love" or releasing that single. Someone's really crunching something over there.
Oh,
That's rich.
chicks.
I'm not.
I'm so used to calling you up. Ash, you opening those Freddos got caught in the mic. This is key for I haven't fed her yet. She's now aggressively opening this. I'm sorry. We're talking about an album about death, and here you are cranking open Freddos.
But yes, the Mystery of Love.
This episode's train wreck.
Mystery of Love to the
She's
Love Yourself.
She's aggressively opening the Freddo, and she's death staring me. Sufjan Stevens' partner died, and all you can look at is Freddo. I'm scared.
I have the most vivid word picture in my head right now. Incredible.
I'm so scared.
This is just becoming an audio play.
She hasn't even said a fucking word.
That's what makes it so great.
But yes, the Love Yourself thing is like, was released on Pride Month.
Spent
Like
9 hours with screaming children.
Okay, I'm muting that because this is coming on.
and
Oh, God.
so, I'm losing my
Awesome.
train of thought.
I don't know what to feel anymore. I'm scared.
And so it's a really interesting evolution of his character and how how he's been more comfortable with coming out to now having that be a thing and acknowledging that with this album. And we've covered
now we
all
can reduce him down to one different.
Yes, we can reduce him
Leaving
down.
the other 48 states.
Well, I mean, he did Michigan. We'll have to cover that at some point.
Yes.
He
That's why I
did.
said 48.
He technically did something about New York, even though it's about a thing in New York and not the state itself.
Yeah.
But he did something with the planets. There was a whole ballet about the planets he did. That kind of counts for something.
Technically, yeah.
All of the states are in the planet Earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a really good album. I think this. I was surprised at how different it is, and through that, I found myself really attaching to songs like Genuflecting Ghost and My Red Little Fox that are just really, really beautiful. Those folky acoustic songs. But then it's like you have other stuff, like it's a really strong choral element that a song like Genuflecting Ghost really benefits from. And you get songs like Shit Talk, and it's like there's a really lived in queer experience here around the edges.
I think the interesting thing is that Shit Talk's kind of actually the closer to this album, and then we just get a cover of a Neil Young song to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're so used to Sufjan Stevens, and especially in later albums as well, have these very long kind of near ambient at times, or just very just lengthy build-ups. The Extension, which I was thinking, this is my favorite Sufjan Stevens album since the Ascension, and it's like, oh wait, that was only 3 fucking years ago, so Sufjan's still got it after all this time. And in here, it's the only long song.
Yeah. And
on a pretty short album, but it's just a build-up, and it's a very just satisfying outro, but it's also what it puts out with that devastation that this album has, the repeating of the "No, I don't want to fight at all," happening, all of that. And I kind of compare it to Peach, in the sense of we kind of know the context coming into this.
Yeah.
But I feel like the context changes this so much more than that EP does.
Yeah, and I think there's something too about having you mentioned the ambient parts, and there are moments of that where it's not ambient, but it's going to the orchestral part of it. Like the ending of Shit Talk is a couple minutes of just. It sounds almost like a superhero soundtrack at points, or it's just the swelling of the strings and kind of a not like a triumphant ending, but it's just something. It's like a brooding moment, like in a Batman film. And I don't know, there's something about that having heard something like Illinois, you would not expect necessarily to have happen.
And then how even just compare it to some of the other songs on this album, which great. I mean, songs like "So You Are Tired," which aren't even that far, that much before it. There's 2-minute track in between it, and that one's just so softer. I mean, it does have those little build-ups and stuff that happens in it, but it's like we have these big grand moments which aren't even that grand in the scheme of what we've listened to. Full stop. They're still quite minimalistic and soft, but they're just grand compared to this. And then even it's something Sufjan does really well, just as a singer, as a songwriter. And I always talk about contrast, and I always be like, oh, you had these softer moments so that the louder moments sound even better. But Sufjan just sometimes the highlights just are those softer moments, because he's just so it's even though this is a devastating album, it's very calming.
Yeah,
it's such a not in this whole oh, I'm falling asleep because it's so boring. So you could fall asleep to it because it just calms you that much, despite the topic and the lyrics that are happening on there and all the context and stuff, and it should be stuff like compare it to like Mount Erie. I think that's probably the best comparison we can do to something that we've covered, because they're both basically about losing a partner, and I guess in that sense of Mount Erie, it's a bit more of a story or a diary, while this one's a bit more of just processing grief. I mean, they're both in that sense.
Yeah,
But with the Mount Erie, you wouldn't consider that as something to fall asleep to because it's calming. It's something that you basically share the grief with Phil.
yeah.
Whilst this is, I guess yes, it's also is still processing grief, but it doesn't feel like you're sharing his grief. It just feels it feels different in a way. It's a bit hard to fully explain when I'm not an English major.
It's that he's not letting it get in the way of like his songwriting. Like he's not altering what he does necessarily in like that huge of a way that Phil Efron was doing, where the songs don't really have necessarily a huge structure, or they kind of just end or something like that. You know, he's still writing songs. He's still writing what Sufjan Stevens writes.
Yeah.
But it still hits you in similar ways. Maybe not as devastatingly as A Crow Looked at Me, but it's like you look at a song like Genuflecting Ghost and you can only imagine what that means.
It's just a really lovely album. This is, it's without a doubt, for all the stuff that we've covered this week, my favorite. It's potentially going to be one of my favorite albums of the year. Wouldn't put it above the Wailer, but
not above the Wailer.
Not above the Wailer.
Amazing. I love how much that is holding on.
The Wailers.
The Wailer's good.
But, I mean,
It has its own Wikipedia page already.
Hell yeah.
Javelin or the Wailer?
Both.
The Wailer.
Like, if I had to consider probably the album like this is fighting with, I'd probably still prefer Wednesday as well, but it's like kind of there. I think this will probably be a top 10 album for me. It is just it's sad, but it's not like an album to cry to. It's yeah, really just lovely.
It's gonna be one of my sad girl put on when I'm depressed albums, like Horse Jumper of Love.
And I know we picked an EP and a single, but they basically got no listens compared to this. Like, I listened to them, but they just
that's fine. I more wanted to talk about like the journey to him finally, getting to this point. And like those are the steps that he took since Carrie and Lowell, since, the stuff that we've covered.
Yeah.
And, like Mystery of Love is a lot more precocious and a lot more like still exploring those feelings early on, right? And kind of like grappling with love as this mysterious force. And then the Love Yourself stuff is like a recontextualized demo he did from a long time ago that he made into a proper song like 20-some years later. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so he's doing stuff for Pride Month. That means something. And then here we are with Javelin.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great album. I think not my favorite Sufjan album, but still one that is up there in the discography.
Yeah.
I think there are moments on Carrie and Lowell that are just divine. I think there's stuff in Illinois that is just amazing. And there's a lot of great stuff here too. But fucking John, my beloved, fucking 4th of July off Carrie and Lowell. Those are stuff like that makes that album higher than this one for me, but it's still pretty good.
I haven't even tried to think about comparing the quality of this and Carrie and Laurel. Sorry, I think they're both just it's weird because they're comparable albums, but as I keep dropping this ball, it's not something that I've really thought about. Favorites, least favorites?
I mean, for me, Genuflecting Ghosts and My Red Little Fox are my favorites. I also really like Shit Talk, and Javelin to Heaven to Hold is the title song is also fantastic. I don't really know if I have a least favorite. That's I don't know. I don't really.
I don't have a least I don't have a least favorite either because I don't want to pick one either. Favorites are Shit Talk, So You Are Tired, and Will Anybody Ever Love Me? Do like Genuflecting Ghost as well. Just haven't really said. Can't really say anything about that Dominic hasn't said. Yeah.
Genuflecting Ghost and Shit Talker are my favorites. No least favorites.
Hell yeah. All right. I'm gonna switch gears again, unless anyone wants to pick something else.
No, go ahead.
Go for it, Domino.
You two have talked about this band before. I had not really heard of them much. You were convinced that Trix was gonna pick it at some point, but you picked it instead.
Yep, I know which
Teenage Dads.
one. I know
Midnight
which one you're
Driving.
going for.
Yep.
This was actually the one I was thinking about just picking, interrupting you and picking.
Yeah, but you missed it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Hey,
just felt like
Diego.
This is a phenomenal little EP. I've been listening to it since Ritz recommended it.
Yeah.
Somebody banging on my own door. Daddy doesn't live here anymore. What you saw? Daddy doesn't live here. So fucking catchy that song.
Such a good tune.
Surprise.
Yeah. So teenage dads, midnight driving. Teenage Dads, they're an Australian band. They got a bit of success here recently with Teddy, despite having some already kind of popular songs on Spotify. I mean, from Potpourri Lake and stuff. I mean, they're not really too much of an international artist, but they made the Hottest 100 last year with Teddy, their first ever appearance in it. And they've now been doing a lot more shows. I saw them at Yours and Else Festival. Not only did I see their set, I walked into the record store whilst they were doing a signing, picked up the CD, and got them to sign it. So I have a Teenage Dad signed Midnight Driving EP. And their first words after buying it was, "Oh, thanks, sir, because that's more money than we'll get from Spotify."
That's fair. That's probably that's super accurate. See, so was Teddy the only one that placed?
Yeah, because Exit Sign made it in like 180, and Hey Diego didn't make it to 200 at all.
Oh, that's a shame. I think Hey Diego is the best one here. Oh, it's so good.
Hey Diego.
And the fact that it's just about Go Diego Go is an amazing thing.
Yeah. I think it came out just a bit too late. Yeah, it came out November and everybody was still listening to Teddy and stuff, and so it's not going to be eligible for this year despite the remaining 3 songs from this EP going to be, but I think that's going to be overtaken by Speed Racer.
Yeah, how's it? This new stuff's pretty good too.
Waiting until I think they got a new album coming out. Waiting until that's a thing before I pick it.
All right,
yeah, that's fair. But like,
I'm listening to the Coyotes scream.
Well, I don't hear the Coyotes scream.
Like, have you ever just heard like 50 Coyotes scream?
Not 50.
It is bone chilling. Going.
You might not want to be there.
Well, I'm safe enough. I'm close enough to the city, but like sound travels far because I'm like on the outskirts.
Yeah, this is I've kind of now realized I probably should have attached the Leica version because I feel like that's like got Trix's name all over it.
What is it?
It's they covered Video Killed the Radio Star.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah. This is probably like everything about this just kind of screams Trix.
It really does.
Yeah.
Like especially the kind of 70s aesthetic they cop with some of their art.
Yeah, it's a pretty good cover for the EP. I was sitting in a car, and it's driving on like a rainbow road in space.
Midnight driving.
There was also I listened to this on YouTube because YouTube loads faster for me than YouTube Music, and so I saw a lot of the single art too, and fucking
yeah. I mean, obviously I would have shown you Teddy before this EP came out. It would have been me catching up on songs that I missed, and they all got like a very similar art style, even if they don't have the same kind of like picture vibe going on.
Yeah, Hey Diego's a bit darker, a bit more like old fantasy.
Reminds me of what's that old video game from like that old arcade game?
Golden Axe.
No, it would be the one. It was the dragon one. What was it called?
Dragon Slayer.
Was it Dragon Slayer? Yeah, Dragon Slayer.
Yeah, I can
kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, I can see that. I also just while we brought up Golden Axe, I fucking love Golden Axe. Genuinely, like one of my favorite arcade Sega Genesis games.
Yeah. I've played a little
Always,
bit of it, I think, but
I always pick the dwarf.
Genesis library is smaller than it should be.
And Golden Axe also just comes on a lot of shit. As weird as that sounds, like I remember first playing it on one of those plug and play consoles.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's everywhere. A lot of those Genesis games are just everywhere.
Yeah,
But I'm an original hardware bitch. I will play the compilations when I can, but I do like having the cart. It's just nice to
yeah.
hold.
I need to get my hands on a Gen 1 Genesis because it has the best sound.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would also say get a Master System if you can.
I'd love to, or
I,
even just a power converter.
like I have a Master System, and today I just bought Double Dragon. I'm very curious how that holds up compared to the Nintendo version.
Yeah, that
Nah,
would be
not to interrupt, but we should probably get back onto talking about this because we really got so much time.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, take it away. Midnight Driving.
Yeah. So what I
Make 'em away,
do like
boys.
about this EP, and it is genuinely a really good EP, is that we're getting what an EP kind of should be for a band that's at the level that Teenage Dad's is at, where they do have some experience, but they are still basically now getting their foot out of the door and breaking out. And instead of getting what is 6 versions of Teddy, which is the popular song, I know it's not the first single, but it's the popular song off this, we're actually getting quite a wide range from Teenage Dad's. It's like it's an actual like it's what's the fucking when actors show off their photos and they're trying to show their range for that. I'm just keep forgetting. I forgot what it's called. Headshots.
Oh, headshots. Gonna say like a reel.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
that as well. It feels like we get that, but we're not just getting like little snippets of like, oh, they could do this or they can do this. We're getting 6 really good tracks with it as well.
Yeah,
So it's not just, oh, they can do this. It's they do this.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're very popular in Australia. I'm surprised there's no crossover yet.
I feel like at some point they will be a band that does break out like that. At least they're one of the ones that deserve to.
Yeah, they need. This is gonna sound really weird and specific, but they need to be included in a quirky indie.
A little quirky indie compilation. Hell yeah.
Yeah, like just like one of the end credits tracks is just fucking Teddy or something. Like
Or,
that shit would go hard. It would pop off.
or easy enough. Just license or Hey Diego for a new Diego series that Nickelodeon puts on.
They would never do that, but that'd be incredible.
I don't know. Anything's possible.
Well, I mean, Cartoon Network did have Taco Cat do the theme song Powerpuff.
The song is right there. They don't have to pay anyone to make a new one. They could just license that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. I would watch it, honestly, if they had Hey Diego as a title track. Hey,
you're gonna learn
Diego.
Spanish, Ritz.
I've learned one word. Diego.
Vámonos, everybody, let's go.
Swiping, no swiping. Right,
I still want to watch Michael Bay Dora.
I've always been curious about that one movie they did, the live action one. I heard it was pretty good.
I did too. Like it's just one of those like weird oddball movies, like when they made a Lifetime original KFC movie with fucking George Lopez. No, not George Lopez. George Lopez? Not George Lopez. I'm being very racist right now, I realize.
I guess I'll have to look
Only a
up
little.
Lifetime original KFC movie.
Yes.
In the meantime,
Good EP. It is, if you're going to describe it in one word, indie.
yeah,
Indie.
a
Yeah,
recipe for
I don't know. It feels
seduction.
like it's very reminiscent of like 2011's indie, but it is like
Yeah.
actually still quite fresh sounding.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Also, Trix, you were looking for Mario Lopez.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. I knew I had one of the names right.
Sure. Also, it's a 15-minute thing.
I know, I watched it.
Fair enough.
It's longer to listen to Midnight Driving than it is to watch that.
Yeah. And it was actually like a pretty good satire of all the tropes. It was very cathartic to watch after being forced to watch a shitload of Hallmark original.
Fair enough.
Anyway, favorites of this EP, probably Midnight Driving, Hey Diego, and Teddy. Least favorites, probably just Goodbye, Goodbye Again. I think it's different enough to Midnight Driving, but like, oh, it definitely is. It's a lot slower, but when it comes to the slower tracks, it's just done so much better on the first song.
I like Hey Diego. I like Teddy. And I like Goodbye, Goodbye Again. My least favorite's probably Midnight Driving.
Hey Diego and Teddy are my favorites.
And what?
No least favorites.
It always likes to cut out when you say that. I don't know why.
Weird.
Anyway, let's see. What else do we want to talk about?
Well, we've got 3 more things to talk about. We've got We Will Look Back at You and Love You Forever, OK Hotel, and The Heartaches.
Well, Ritz agenda breaking up to a better album.
The sad part of it is I don't even think it counts as a breakup, but yeah, The Heartaches. I freak out. 2016 was a very angsty time in my life. So when a song called "Glad That You're Gone" enters my playlist, you better believe I listen to it quite a lot, and I still do, even though I'm in a happy relationship.
Hell
You better believe if she ever leaves me, I'm passing that song louder than anyone's ever heard.
We're gonna hear it all the way over here in the U.S.
Because I plan to be dead and
Weird.
buried.
I have a strong urge to go to Outback Steakhouse.
But yes, this The Heartaches, probably to you two, discount front bottoms. To me, front bottoms at a discount Heartaches. That is my introduction.
I did not make a huge connection between them.
It's folk punk.
Not the same way. Front bottoms is front bottoms.
I know. It's probably more Australian front bottoms is a better way of describing it, but they are different. I think there is some similarities in some lyrics, you can probably call it. I mean, probably not as creepy as the front bottoms can get, but yeah.
Flashlight in the bedroom. Yep.
Well, did you like it more than Luca Brasi, at least, Dominic?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I think
There you
Alcohol
go.
and Cigarettes is a great track. Easily, great substances as well, yes. But on its own, that thing is better than anything on that Luca Brasi album.
We'll get into the arguments about that later in our lives. But yeah, no, it's a what's the opening lyric? I kind of stopped drinking when you kind of stopped smoking, but I can still smell it on your clothes.
Yep. It's a great way to end it.
It's yeah.
Because like this is like a kind of stages of a breakup and like stages of something happening, right? You got the I freak out, you got the breakdown, the gutful, then like the glad that you're gone, and then kind of how it kind of breaks down after that. And like there seems to be a little bit of relationship of some sort happening with alcohol and cigarettes. So I don't know if he's moved on or what, but it kind of told a story.
I will say, if you haven't seen the Glad That You're Gone music video, it's great. You get to watch someone throw up in reverse.
Oh.
Okay, I will not be watching it because I am a sympathy vomiter, even for videos of people vomiting.
It's not what the full video is, but it's a bit where he does a bit of a chunder.
And I will still throw up. I'm not good with it.
But yes, so this is probably the peak of the Heartaches' popularity, specifically with Triple J listeners. We're glad that you're gone. The only song of theirs to make it 200 was favorite to make number 33, made 110, so missed out on 100. Might have been a bit higher than 110, but honestly, it was robbed. I should have voted for it. I voted for 10 other songs instead, but in hindsight, I would probably vote for this one.
What would you take out?
Because, well, shit, let's get to my 2016 top 10, huh? If I can even bloody find it. I would probably take out. I would take out LDRU is next to you, even though that is what I was listening to a lot in 2016. I would take out Remy's For Good. I think it just doesn't hold up, and I would take out Illy's Paper Cuts. So that's 3 songs I would take out there. I reckon Anything Near Conviction and Glad That You're Gone would probably take 2 of those spots. I like the other one. Definitely not DVP by Pup or The Opposite of Us by Big Scary. Those two I was correct on voting for.
Yes.
Which mattered more to you, Glad You're Gone or Opposite of Us?
opposite of us by far. That song's just something special.
Fair. I remember. I mean, we don't have the conversation about you talking about that. That episode never made it.
Yeah, it's outside of any context of my life. It's just a really special song to me. It's one of those few ones, like, the second I heard it, I'm like, yep, shit, we're putting that on again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm listening to this EP for basically the first time I've listened to it in full in years. I'm trying to, take out the nostalgia glasses. And, look, at its worst, it's a competent EP. At its best, it bangs. That's the best way of describing it. It's definitely not best of this week. I wouldn't even probably call it the best EP of this week. I think Teenage Dads takes that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some fun going back to this. I mean, when the Heartaches do their final show in Sydney next year, you better believe I'll sing along to any of these songs. Basically screaming like I'm still in 2016.
I think this is the first time we've covered a band that's breaking up in the future, like next year.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually wait until they're done.
Yeah.
And, nostalgia glasses are a strong thing. I think if I probably listened to this for the first time this year, I'd still like it. And I feel like there is still just really one standout track for me personally. I mean, Alcohol and Cigarettes does hold off better than when I was comparing all the songs back in 2016, when there was obviously a standout, but I liked everything going on. But it is still just it's an underground Aussie emo band.
It's something that for you in the end
that's the way I describe it. Yeah.
It is largely glad that you're gone, as far as you're concerned.
Basically, yeah.
I think that's fair. If that's how much that song means to you, I get that.
Oh.
Sitting there with my head in my hands, trying hard not to do anything stupid. I can't do the fake cries as well anymore.
That's my balance standing up. Landed nuts first on my stool.
Oof.
That's an opening lyric of its own.
Will Trix finally be glad when her nuts are gone?
I pray for testicular torsion daily.
Oh. That's something else to worry about later down the line.
Anything else you want to say about this?
It's alright.
Yeah, basically. It doesn't hold up as much as it did in 2016, but it definitely hasn't aged poorly. I think it's still the same thing it was in 2016. I think I've just grown as a person.
I think that's fair.
Their 2018 album was a lot better, but so probably not as like special, I guess is the term to me.
Favorites for me, I would put as Alcohol and Cigarettes. Least favorite, I don't know, Gutfall.
Favorites, Glad That You're Gone. I do like Alcohol and Cigarettes as well. It's probably the most impressive lyrically on the whole EP. It is very simple lyrically, but that's what people want. Least favorite, probably Breakdown. I'm going to assume Trix is going to use the word blender.
Yeah, I'm going to use the word blender. It was okay. That's all I can remember about it. I mostly listen to this one at work.
Then, to kind of round this out, I do want to talk about OK Hotel here. I think kind of the problem we run into is that I think this sounds similar enough that it gets a little bit lost. But I'm not going to say it's like a copy of anything we listen to. It's just like, it's also there. And also it's good stuff.
Yeah.
But
so OK Hotel, come and find me. The new EP from Wollongong based pop punk or regular punk, whatever you would describe it as. Artist OK Hotel. I saw them open for Slowly earlier in the year. I'm tempted to see them open for Dear Seattle and Trophy Eyes later. It definitely, and I feel like this is one of the artists you'll probably compare it to. It's definitely no surprise that they were open for Dear Seattle.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's there's some good moments in this. This is a very young band. I think the highlights of it is that they're actually writing some pretty catchy choruses in there. I don't think it's anything special or anything that's like, you gotta fucking listen to this right now. But I think it's a case of if you're looking for more artists in the scene, which, trust me, put on a good live show for what is essentially an opening act at the moment. Then yeah, give this a listen. I mean, they're pretty clean with their production. They've got the songwriting down packed to a point in which it might not be anything special, but it's still pretty tight. Like the songs, when they do go off, are pretty catchy and pretty fun to listen to. They're not a standout in a way that you go like, oh fuck, this is the song of the year, but it's definitely an add to your playlist worthy.
I regret not listening to him again before recording because I cannot remember anything right now. I only remember that I really liked the last track, How to Love.
I remember the first half of the album a little bit more myself.
Like, I like this. I really thought this was good, but then today I'm just like, this is just not computing with me.
It is in a sense probably the actual most blender record that we have throughout this week.
Yeah.
It is a little bit of the Wollongong sound, which has got that influences of surf, and it's now starting to get a bit of influence of shoegaze actually coming in there. But there is a bit of that in the Psycho Hotel EP as well, so it's not like it's completely just a knockoff of anyone. It just obviously it sounds like a lot. It hasn't been a full. We've got our own sound happening there. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm back on it now. In a sense, though, it still a good EP in the sense that it doesn't feel like there's some kind of we need to be successful. It does feel like just a bunch of people having who genuinely like this type of music putting out a rock EP. I get the sense of like, yeah, you enjoy listening to this, but it's like it's also there's nothing in it so far that's really memorable at the moment. It's more this is one of those bands with potential that we're picking up early here.
Looking through my notes, I'm comparing it to Hockey Dad, I'm comparing it to Arlie, and that all kind of checks out, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know, they have some nice vocal harmonies. I keep saying I feel like some of this would be great in like the 2000s. You know, there's some pop punk in there that's just kind of not just reminiscent of like the era. It just sounds like it comes from the era.
Yeah.
Nice falsettos. Anything else?
It's easy to say. That's probably the most memorable song on there.
Looks like Here Forever is my choice for a Tony Hawk soundtrack.
Honestly, you could probably flick any of these into a Tony Hawk soundtrack. Except Get Out, I think was the one that wasn't so much, but it would probably all work. I usually put on my own custom soundtracks for Tony Hawk, so I put them in the background anyway.
I've slowly been building a couple that I introduced to the podcast.
Is one of our episodes in the future just doing competing Tony Hawk soundtracks?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, shit, can we do that?
That sounds like a good next year idea.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll have to test it out by playing Tony Hawk. Fuck yeah.
I've been playing it recently anyway.
Yeah,
I love Tony.
I love Tony Hawk. Yeah, this is good. I like this in concept. I need to listen to it again. I've listened to it my 3 times, but it's just not sticking with me like the others are, and I'm disappointed.
Yeah, it's not exactly out one ear, in one ear, out the other, but it's more so it struggles to stand out with everything else here. It is on its own, it's still a good record, but there's just so much else that's, especially in stuff that we've covered that has a similar sound, that beats it at the moment, that it kind of gets lost in the sauce. But it's still, in terms of covering the underground and stuff, which I'd love to do here, it's a recommendation. There's nothing bad on here. There's no like, oh shit, that's annoying to listen to. It's a good record to listen to, and it's a band to look out for, because they're still very, very young, and they're sounding quite tight as it is.
Yeah.
Like I said, my favorite's How to Love.
That's why I like picking them.
I don't really have a least favorite.
Favorites easy to say, and How to Love. Least favorites probably something like Here Forever.
I will say the B word again, but I will specify that I like the first half more than the second.
Fair enough.
So you know what that means for ending this album on. Oh, not ending this album, this podcast on. I'm so used to saying specific words.
We will look back at you and love you Forever, in both split EP and compilation album form.
Hell yeah.
That split EP is got no right to be as good as it is.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of different hits on it. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Like each song is different enough from the last one. Like the first one, Cervicogenic has that sax, and I like me some sax.
Mm.
And then KK Lament 2 is kind of more what I
Dominic
expected to
loves
hear.
that.
Yeah, we have a couple of Animal Crossing sounds on this EP.
Oh, yeah.
For something that's called KK Fever Dream.
I mean,
And
is
then
Summer 2000, we're doing fucking sound fonts. It's no surprise at all.
but then just go on to the We Will Look Back at You track, and that is the longest one in here, unsurprisingly. And then you have probably just like 3 very short but consistent tracks, and then the We Will Look Back at You just does what We Will Look Back at You does.
But like,
And that is a great sound collage that we got there. That is making me question why I'm listening to half the bands I listen to, but I still like it. So I don't know what the fuck I'm on.
there's an evolution there that's really interesting. Like, well, Sonnet of Wall
Yes.
Street is more developed and just longer than everything else. And comparing that to like what they were doing on Yabby Time, it's definitely something. If this is a preview of what the
Yeah.
album is going to be like, I'm very excited.
I still can't wait till we're getting these shit posting kids to release their cover of Amy Shark's Dora. That is basically why I'm living at the moment. I'm not suicidal, but if I was, I would still be living just to hear that cover.
That's fair.
I was joking in the interview, like, so, are you gonna have a track with like air horns and trap beats? And in a way, that's almost kind of what we got, except instead of air horns,
Yep.
it's circus honks, it's clown noises.
We've been waiting for this EP for a while since that interview, where basically that was the announcement of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like this
And,
idea that these EPs can just happen by being like, "Yo, do you want to do something? Hell yeah!"
And the surprising part is that all of them have somehow made like a full length in 10 minutes here, because it's pretty coherent. Surprisingly for what these fuckers are making. And I'm gonna be calling them all fuckers because what the fuck?
Makes me believe
It is a great gender neutral addressment term.
I shouldn't like this. I shouldn't like this. But I like this.
Yeah.
And this is the part where fifth wave emo is very openly queer. It just is what it is. There's no mystery to it. There's no is it not. It just is what it is. And that was the contrast I was kind of hoping to provide here.
I just want to say, putting this up with last week, I was at a gig 2 days ago and saw Mr. Nothing Rhymes with David there. I did personally tell him about We Will Look Back at You and Love You Forever.
And Bigger Boot, you said, right?
Yeah, it's Bigger Boot, yes. I was like, that's the one probably to start off with. But I said, you can listen to that one. But it'd be warned, the second song is just basically a Pickle Rick sample. It was like, that's awesome. So, you might get someone listening to you now.
I mean, are we going to talk about both here, or are we going to focus on the split EP?
I mean, we'll talk about the 2022 now, because I feel like if we get lost in the KK fever, we really won't talk about it. And it's not much to talk about, because we basically get a lot of interesting things if we want to talk about the evolution of what they've done in here. We talked obviously about I Am Who I Am Simon, which is the starting track in here, the demo, and their initial ideas, which is what we basically hear on this demo. But I always thought like the reason why I like that track the most out of anything on that album was because we had just basically so much shit posts in 10 minutes and so much just incoherent mess that it went back around like integer overflow. Yeah. And was just good because it was laughing so much the whole fucking time. And there's always a misconception with music is that that enjoyment means that the song is good in the sense of that, like, oh yeah, it's a really accessible or really popular, you want to dance to this or anything like that. But enjoyment means you enjoy it. And if I think something's really funny, I enjoy it. That's why I liked Kieran J. Callan's Big Enough. It was one of my favorite songs of 2017. And a lot of people go like, oh, isn't that just a meme? Like, yeah, it was because it was a giant meme that I found it funny. And I enjoyed it, and that's why I liked it. And that's the sense of what I had with I Am Who I Am, Simon. It was interesting to see it as a coherent track, but it's just ultimately much better as a 10-minute mega shitpost out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then you say all of that, but I also just got to be like, I Found a Body at Penn Island is just a really good track, and having no Pickle Rick there makes it so much better.
Yeah, but it's worse to recommend to people because I don't get that funny reaction.
I think the section where they
but I do actually agree with you though.
They start dropping in the Ocarina of Time Link samples is always just a great moment. And then hearing it again for the homework version, I thought was very funny because there's some reverb being added to the Link stuff, and it was just in general longer, and then the quality was lesser because it was a live recording or whatever, but just fun to hear all the iterations and all the things they're doing because it's they are 18 and they're doing this for homework sometimes, and it's just what a weird thing to have this track record, this work, kind of just intersecting with your secondary school, high school stuff.
Yeah.
And then and then there's we talk about the Elizabeth Whittington kind of influence and the whole claustrophobia pop, and they're definitely leaning more into that.
Yeah, actually, I want to get Elizabeth Whittington on the show just so they can explain that fucking band message they sent.
Oh, they sent a message? What does it say?
I'll paste it in there. If you can both click that and read it. Because it's not really something you can pronounce.
Okay.
It's just, there's a lot of D's in it. Can't really count how many. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
replied Straight Egg.
Who is Jude from We Will Look Back at You and Love You Forever.
Yeah.
And then you say, Ty Elizabeth, real cool.
T.Y.
T.Y. Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Yes, I know. I was just being funny. Really cool.
No, you weren't. I don't know who S is. Probably Sholto.
And then doing just the cat.
No, it's someone else actually from Los Angeles. Yeah, just fucking. I feel like if I do that too much, a cat actually will come through the window.
My cat will butt up against.
Call Monty, quick.
It's it's interesting listening to
right
all
now,
these.
And that's what I want him to do.
All these demos and having different versions of songs, but what makes Yabby Time such an interesting album is just how overblown with shitpost it is. You can say as a song, the No Pickle Rick version of I Found a Body at Penn Island is better, and I would agree with you. But in a full album context of which we have all these cartoon references and all this just overblown with just, of course they fucking put it in there. Yeah, I prefer that you can call it overproduced, but that's what the charm of it is. It is just an absolutely chaotic album.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I never felt the Pickle Rick thing really fit in the same way If I Could Still See Your Footsteps sample really fit.
That's the Midnight Gospel one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the conversation between the mother and child.
Yeah.
Yeah, that conversation is really good and really works well with what the music bed is. But Pickle Rick is Pickle Rick, and it's funny, and yes, it's a meme. But I'm okay with taking some of the chaos out when the chaos is truly, not fully fitting in.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of things on Yabby Time that are amazing that are gonna be things we could talk about forever, like AI Peter Griffin, or the Nuclear Countdown, or Bacon Pancakes in general, right?
Yeah.
But I think where they falter the most over here is the cover of Coraline Jones' "Please Don't Cry, Fluttershy." It's a cover. It doesn't sound amazing, but it's there.
Yeah.
But you know,
It's basically just a nice compilation to have, I guess. I struggle to really rank this compared to everything else, especially when we have a split EP, which is just generally better than it has any right to be.
yeah. It's just cool. I don't know. I like these fungly bunglies as they call themselves.
I just think they're neat.
Yeah, Marge. I just think they're neat.
We've talked for 2 hours. I'm about ready to wrap this one up because I need to go.
Let's wrap it up.
I think we're good. Yeah. Favorites? I thought about Ape Island, no Pickle Rick, no least favorites.
For KKK Fever Dream, I've just accidentally added in another K. Favorites? Honestly, I just don't even have a least favorite. I think it's all surprisingly coherent. I also have no regrets for adding in that another K because why do I like it that much? It feels illegal.
I don't have a least favorite either. I just think Seminole Wall Street is just the best one. Tricks.
Alright, we're gonna have to rank all this after Tricks is done. That scares me.
Anything, Tricks? Alright.
I think Tricks is dead.
Okay.
Just killed her.
I guess I'll try to rank things, unless you want to go first.
I'll give it a try. Least favorite has to be, and I'm going to ignore all the singles from this, including the Love Yourself one. Least favorite out of all of this is probably Megadeth's Rust in Peace.
Okay.
After that, I'm going to put... It's a tough one. But due to just kind of how it is, even though it's a compilation and stuff and thinking about it, I'd probably put 2022 there. After Rust in Peace.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I'd put in OK Hotel, Come and Find Me. Then I would put Peach PRC's Manic Dream Pixie. Then I'll put The Heartaches, I Freak Out. After that, it's sacrilege, I guess, to put it this low compared to it, but I don't care. I'm going to put Tubular Bells. Then I'm going to put in KK Fever Dream.
Can you guys hear me?
Now I can hear you.
I've been in here for a minute just eating a burrito.
Okay, I just want to make sure you were there.
After KK Fever Dream, I'm going to put in Midnight Driving, and then my favorite of this whole week is Sufjan Stevens' Javelin.
Alright, this is going to be different than what my list initially was going to be, but that's okay. This is how these things happen sometimes. My least favorite's Peach PRC. And then I think I'm going to put the Love Yourself single stuff. And then we're going to do The Heartaches. Let's put that there. Then we're going to do 2022. And then Come and Find Me. And then KK Fever Dream. And then Midnight Driving. Rust in Peace. Javelin. Tubular Bells is top, because that's just fucking amazing.
Damn. Let me just finish chewing my burrito. Give me a second. Sorry. All right. I'm going to abstain from putting Megadeth in just for like nostalgia.
Fair enough.
I feel like I won't be accurate. So at the bottom, I'm going to put Peach PRC. Then I'm going to put OK Hotel. Actually, no, The Heartaches, then OK Hotel. Then I'm going to do the You're Pretty single.
Oh shit, I didn't even mention Dixon Dallas. Shit. Go ahead. Yeah.
Then I'm going to do the Sufjan Stevens EP and single. And then I'm going to put the Dixon Dallas. I'm going to just kind of put that all as like EP together. All 5 songs there. And then 2022. And then I'm going to put Midnight Driving, then KK Fever Dream. And then I'm going to have to put Tubular Bells at number 1, Javelin at number 2.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So Dominic, you want to announce? Oh, you got.
Yeah, I'll put Dixon Dallas in above 2022. So yeah, there you go, and that includes your pretty single.
So, do you want to announce? Do you want to announce
Yes.
what we're doing for episode 150? Since this seems to be a bit more of Dominic's dream right now.
Episode 150. We've covered of Montreal a lot. Why not do a full episode dedicated to them? They have released music in 4 different decades: the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s. If we're going to have a whole episode dedicated to them, why don't we each pick a decade and pick something from that?
Okay.
I'll let you two choose the decade first, so I get cursed.
Well, I'm going to give us the options, and I will let you all see them. And then we will, after we go over them, we can pick. And I will pick last, because I feel it is best, since I have made the lists. You two can choose and do research real quick if you want, but the quicker we get through it, probably the better.
I'm going to pick on instinct.
Okay, so here are the
Yeah.
90s picks. Well, we got the bedside drama,
Fair
Petite Tragedy, Gay Parade, and Burlington New Seeds, The Rabbit's Flowers EP. The 2000s, we've got Caught Asleep with the Poppies, A Variety of Whimsical Verse, Idol's Arboretum, Horse and Elephant Eatery, No Elephants Allowed, the Singles and Songles album, the early 4-track recordings, and If He's Protecting Our Nation, who is it? Wait, if he's protecting our nation, then who will protect Big Oil? Our children? It's another compilation. 2010s, Aureate Gloom, Innocence Reaches, White as Relic, Irrealious Mood, Snare Lustrous Doomings, the live album, Rune Husk EP, and then the 2020s, the things we have not covered, You're Fun, and I Feel Safe With You, Trash. These are all the things we have not covered from Of Montreal. There is still plenty to choose from. That being said, who wants to choose a decade first?
Trix, you pick it first.
Okay, I'm going to curse us all and do the 2020.
Okay, you have You're Fun or I Feel Safe With You, Trash. Which one are you picking?
I'm going full evil and you're fun.
All
Trix.
right.
Can I just say? I need to say this to Trix. If you did not pick it, I was going to do that for the joke. So.
Okay, thank God.
I appreciate
we had to cover it.
Yeah, I'm being honest. I'm like, do I like? Yeah, I will. 2020 is no, she's picking it.
All right.
Shit, I've got to pick one of these.
2010s, 2000s, or 90s?
Oh, it's a hard one to really pick, to be honest, because I'm not too sure. Shit, I think I have to pick. Oh God. You know what? I feel like I know which one Dominic will pick, so I'm gonna be happy for him, and I'm gonna ignore the 2010s. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm gonna pick the 1990s.
All right.
I've got a couple albums to pick from there, but I'm just choosing to go for the Gay Parade.
Excellent. And you were wrong. I'm not picking the 2010s. My choice was
I
always.
thought you were gonna pick one of those.
My choice was always the 2000s. My choice. So I was gonna pick this regardless. Next time we did Of Montreal, I was gonna do the Aldils Arboretum album.
All right.
So we celebrate episode 150 with the Gay Parade, Al Hills Arboretum, and of course, You Are Fun from the 2020s.
I'm just happy I didn't spoil your pick. That's like what I was more concerned about doing.
Yes.
I took a gamble going last, and I know I did.
Paid off though.
Alright, so we're killing Trix next week. We're being indifferent to me next week, and we're probably praising Dominic next week. Got it.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That's next week's episode. We are finished with this one. My name is Dominic. Catch me online at DACICHOCKI on Twitter. I am on YouTube and all that stuff. Dominic Chikoki. I'm also on the Games My Mom Found podcast. We just did an episode about Shadow Hearts recently. Check that one out on their stuff. Links in below.
I've been Ritalin. You can catch me on my website, Ritalin for Kids, or github.io. I also have a YouTube channel that's in the description below. I need to eat dinner soon, so please follow.
I am Trix, and I will be rummaging through Ritz's trash later for leftovers. You can find me
I
on
am making
Twitter
meatballs.
@Crash. Okay. I will. You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, basically everything except Threads. Check us out on YouTube, which you're probably already doing. But just check out some more of our videos. We might have something that interests you.
I just need to wrap this this episode up by saying
Go for it,
that
Ritz.
we had my partner put up a death stare at me earlier for talking about the Freddos, and now she's happy at me because I talked about meatballs. Is this a woman thing? Trixie,
Yeah.
no? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It is. She's literally saying she's gonna go for our chat for meatballs. When two women out here both celebrating meatballs, all I can assume is that they like meatballs. I'm trying to understand this gender.
I fucking love meatballs. Like, just give any type of meat in a ball. Just
They're
fuck
the
yeah.
IKEA meatballs.
They are good. I like the allspice and nutmeg kind of seasoning deals they got
They're
on.
great.
I just like
Anyway,
that. Once upon
have
a
a good
time in the 2020s, Ritz never wanted to cover You're Fun or Father of All Motherfuckers, and now the show has touched both.
Yes.
All right. Have a great evening, night, morning, whatever. Bye-bye.
Bye.